Greetings and salutations. Unfortunately for you, I'm back with another video. I am redoing some of my older videos that I've done on this channel, wishing to revisit some topics so that the algorithm may smile upon me and my small little viewer count. That being said, I have more eyes that are watching me now than I ever did before. We're going to talk about something that is, let's say you want to run a sandbox. You don't know where to start. Well, the first thing you should start off with, in my opinion, is the rumor table. Yeah, I'm revisiting that idea. That was one of my earlier videos, and I'm revisiting it again. So, when you're talking about a rumor table, what are we talking about? We're talking about a more organic way to bring about adventure hooks to your players through role playing opportunities. They buy a patron in the bar or a drink, and for in exchange, they give them this little tidbit of information that they've heard. Maybe a bedraggled, okay, maybe a bedraggled straggler who just escaped an orc raid comes busting through the doors, and he's all, "You got to help me," and this, that, and everything else. And I do highly recommend rolling on this kind of thing but you could always pick and choose whatever you feel like is the more ready adventure that you have at hand at the time. That being said, I do recommend rolling to some degree. Kind of keeps you on your toes, kind of keeps the players on their toes. They don't know what kind of danger they're getting into yet. And I mean, because an orc raid of 16 strong orcs should be concerning enough at level 1. The fact that people think that this is uh, a small nothing adventure are the kind of people that run super powered fantasy game, and I don't like. But be that as it may, most people when they are playing this game, they are looking for challenge, they are looking for adventure, they're looking for danger. So we want to start with some information on some of the adventures that you have lined up. You want to start with the who, what, where, when, and why, which is very basic creative writing 101, right? Because this is the whole point. While we do want to rely on some randomness and unpredictableness and some chaos because we are looking to run a sandbox, we also don't want to eschew the idea of the GM having any kind of creativity. So therefore, the GM should be willing to kind of spread their creative wings a little bit. Come up with an idea. Let's say, okay, here's a very easy one that comes off the top of my head. And again, I go this route because it's my wheelhouse. Because I'm a huge monster movie buff, and I love those terrible B movies from the 50s and 60s and 70s and stuff. Right. So let's just say, okay, there's a rumor in the town, the ancient temple that's over in the countryside, like a mile away. Um, it's haunted. Like there's spirits everywhere. You look out in the middle of the night. There's like at midnight or around the witching hours. There's lanterns that are going through the structure. It's the lanterns of the damned who are looking for other lost souls to bring into the underworld to guide through to Hades and take down the river Styx and da, 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 da. And in all actuality, it's an upstart cult that is going through looking for esoteric lore, but also forgotten forbidden magic, and trying to set up a sort of shrine to their forbidden religion. So you can include like a logical explanation, or you can lean into that idea of like, oh no, it actually is haunted, and there's ghosts and spirits there. So like, you go one right, but that's where we get to another part of the rumor table, right? The true and the false. I don't know how many bars you've ever been to. I've been to my fair share in my life. If you've ever sat at a table with somebody while they were drinking, one of your buddies, and they start to get a little bit of alcohol in them, and the funny thing is that alcohol tends to loosen their tongues, but not exactly keep their brain going right. So it's like they'll start off with like they had this idea for a prototype for a car, and the only reason that they never went to go try to get it patented is because they lacked the money or whatever. They had a buddy who once recorded an album with a famous musician, but he was kicked out of the band because he was just too good, and they were going a creative way. that was more mainstream. That's why they're famous, but he's not. Da da da. Some very untrue things. Yes, I've heard my fair share of wild fish tales in my life. Um, you will too. There's always somebody in your life that's willing to tell one. But be that as it may, you want the true and the false. And you could also do what I like to do, what a lot of us like to call the partially true. Whereas it's not a total lie, but it is the person telling it is quite mistaken, right? So let's say, oh, there's some goblins that have moved into this ruin over here to set up a military outpost. Kinda, there are goblins there, but it's not a military outpost for them. It's for an orc tribe that has asserted dominance over this goblin tribe. Just as an example, or maybe a bandit hideout was actually built around this ancient forgotten treasure vault, but they don't know how to get into it, and just kind of set up different ideas, seeds of thoughts for your adventures, right? And you want to bring them about through. This is a way to kind of combat the idea. A lot of people talk about how old school gaming suffers from a lack of role playing, and that's not true. Anybody that I've ever played with has role played very well, and we just don't do silly, funny voices. Although I do have a couple that do, but that's no big deal. That's all about personal preference. But we bring about our stories, quote end quote, through proactive gameplay, through proactive and reactive role playing. So, take for example, I brought him up before, the evil cleric that was dealing with Eric, the good cleric, the lawful cleric of the party. And this came about through roleplay where he eventually figured out, no, this dude is totally worshiping this really chaotic religion. And like he's definitely not on my side. This is not just a matter of, oh, he's a heretic, but that they're looking out for the good of other people. No, this is a straight up evil dude. So, that came about from proactive and reactive uh, role playing. Reacting to what your players say and them reacting to what you say. So when you come up with a rumor table, come up with a small seed, and then you can develop that idea through talking back and forth. It's highly recommended that you do this with a dungeon map that you already have completed. So as you know, certain things are true and certain things are false. That being said, if you don't have one ready yet, keep in mind you can always keep adding to it during gameplay. It's a little bit more difficult, I'll grant you that, but it can be done. So just kind of go back and forth and this, that, and everything else. Keep in mind we don't want invisible walls. We want believable, down to earth role playing that is believable. Like we can picture this in our heads. Like these seem like real people that are talking and interacting with each other. And the information given could be given the logical explanation for some of the existence of things within the world that you are in, within the setting that you're running. These rumors seem like they could be true. There might be something behind them. That being said, I'm one of those guys that likes to make undead very rare, and so whenever one pops up, it's kind of a big deal, like an earth shattering, like it's challenging your worldview kind of situation. But be that as it may, yeah. So there's that. I've decided to try to cram as much as I could into a 10-minute video, so as to make it more digestible to people. Um, pardon me. That's my approach. What are your thoughts? Personal opinion. Um, like I said, this is something that's not based upon one particular edition over the other. It's just that it was more prevalent when basic and expert was the king of the table way back when. It's something that can exist again, and in my opinion, should exist again. And like I think whatever role playing system you run, it can work. Just come up with a good idea for how that rumor is dispensed, right? Just come up with that idea because it doesn't have to be a tavern. Doesn't have to be, because I understand not everybody runs a fantasy game. So, but what are your thoughts? As always, guys, take care. God bless, and I'll see you on the other side.